In this video, I take my KTM 690 from this to this. I call this KTM 690 Face Off.
Over the next few days, I'm going to be modifying the bike, and I'm allowing 3 days because I'm assuming I'm going to have all sorts of problems. So I'm basically replacing all of this with a tower. It's made by a company called ARX.
The actual installation of the tower, physical installation of the tower, was actually straightforward. The only thing that was a complication was aligning it so that the tower was straight when the handlebars were straight. But apart from that, everything seemed to flow quite well. I only had to get an angle grinder out, cut a couple of screw or bolts back because they were fouling the forks or some of the cables. That was the only complication. The more difficult part was actually the wiring and sorting out where to put all the instruments. And so I'll just jump straight to that part of the installation.
It's taken me 2 days now, not the solid 2 days, but 2 days off and on to get to this point here. The tower is mounted, although it's missing the top bit here, but that's so I can get at all the bits and pieces in here. And during the process, I'm sure these cables here have grown as I've been progressing through this, because I've got this huge tumor-like electronics tumor sitting here that I now try and fix up. So today's challenge is to try and make some sense of these cables. So after using the tower for about 2 months now, there are a couple of issues that I needed to resolve. One was the clock. So the clock was mounted on the original bracket down here, and it was attached to the steering. It used to move around, and one of the issues I had was the cables here, being back here, would flex and then move around, and it just looked like it wasn't going to be a long-term fix. So what I did was repositioned the clocks, but that meant that I had to make this bracket, the original bracket, which is this one, holes in the wrong spot, and it's not, no matter how I adjusted it, I could not get the clocks to, or the gauges to fit properly. And so in the end I just said, oh damn it, I'll just make another bracket, which is what this is here. And you can see there, the sits it up quite high. It's quite high, but it actually is quite well positioned for when you're riding. It says I can sit on it and see and when I stand, I get a really good view. I don't have to take my eyes off the road, which is when I was down here, I did. Still got a bit of work around this area here, tidy up these wires, work out a mechanism to hold that in place. Just a bit of a recap. So what I've done is I just basically painted that black so it doesn't reflect the sunlight, and I ended up putting the phone, which is my GPS, down there for the time being. I will, at a later stage, I'm getting some parts from Quadlock to mount my phone up there on a bit of a bracket so I can move around. But I've had this configuration now for about 2 weeks, and it works really, really well. So it's quite good. I've dealt with these cables flopping around by just securing them here. So it's close to the finished product at the moment, but I'm pretty happy with it. I am thinking about changing the height. This piece here I might replace with just some smaller brackets down here, and I'll be able to lower that down to about there. And I think that might actually be my final rest. But you can see there the cables. These are the cables that were stretched when I had the Speedo mounted back here. And that's because in order to get a neat finish here, I had to drag all the cables to this point, and having this run from here back there, and with the bars moving, it was putting a lot of strain on this here. But certainly relocating the clocks was a great idea. Okay.
I made the lower bracket for the dash and mounted the speedo to that, and also my phone at the very top, which I use as a GPS, and rode that for about 4 months in various terrain, off-road, some really rough country. The whole thing stayed together and worked flawlessly. So the lower bracket, mounting the speedo on the bracket and reducing the height bracket worked. I showed the guys at ARX, and they suggested that their new dash would improve things. So a lot of measurements were taken, and backwards and forwards through emails and messages, delivering all the information. And the guys at ARX put together their new dash to suit the instrumentation of the 690. And
so they sent it out, and it came, and I've recently I've been sitting on it for it's been sitting in my garage for about 2 weeks, and recently I managed to mount it, and this is the final product. You can see there that the speedo sits speedo and my GPS or phone sit actually quite high, and I kind of like that, and it gives it a really cool sort of profile, I reckon. And I'm really looking forward to taking it out onto the trail and seeing what it's like. This is my final, the final state of the Rally X screen. I'm really, really happy.